Welcome back to This is Friendship. Today we're in part two of our episode, which is discussing family planning, pregnancy, miscarriage, raising kids, and sending them out of the nest. We were a little bit longer in our episode last week than maybe we initially planned, but we really feel like we shared some good, meaty information and feelings and thoughts, and we didn't want to cut any of it for you. So here we are back with part two, which we anticipate being a little shorter, but who knows? Because once we get chatting, you just don't know what to expect. But for all of our listeners out there, we're so happy that you are here joining us again. And we'd love for you to tell your friends if you think they should listen in, because they might want to be friends with us too. And we really do want to hear from you. I know we say this, but we do mean it. We want to hear your thoughts on what you've been hearing in our episodes. And we want to know what kind of topics, what you'd like us to talk about. What do you want our chats to be about in the future? So please, we want you to tell us. So email us at thisisfriendshippodcast@gmail.com and let us know what your thoughts are. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in. Hopefully you listened to part one, because we feel it's a pretty important topic that many women can relate to, and we did cover some good stuff. So hopefully you can pop in there and listen to that if you haven't yet. But getting into our next question, we're going to have two more questions today. And I'm going to start with Joy on this one. So based on where you're at in your baby journey, which you told us in the first part of this episode, do you have friends that are in the same place as you? Do you have other women that are, in your friend group?
Yes. I have. I feel like I've been really fortunate to have had some really great friends. I've got a really awesome, great friend group from high school that I carry with me and still hold dear to my heart. I have another great group of girlfriends from our corporate days that we got to get together often, non-quarantine, not very well since quarantine, just virtually since quarantine, but that's been pretty awesome. And I've got to have some experiences, and then I've got other friends here and there that are broken off branches of groups, us from our three different generations and our corporate life there, that have just got different kind of branches. But yes, in my high school group of girlfriends, I've got friends that started having kids a few years before me that can relate to. In that same group of friends, I've had some friends that have experienced loss, and I have some awesome things to relate to and to discuss with them. Also, in my group of girlfriends from corporate world, there was 6 of us that all had our very first little ones within 1 year. So that was kind of like, it was like every girls' night, there was somebody new that was announcing that they were pregnant. So it was like, oh my God,
the wine, right?
the whole box of wine was gone. Like we were all drinking the same box of wine for sure.
Like baby dust. Baby
Yes.
dust.
So that's been a really fun experience. And, as we've grown through there's been loss throughout that friend group as well too. So, gosh, it's just, yes, there are definitely friends of mine that are going through both pregnancy, both loss, multiple losses, and similar but different stories through their journeys, and all really are happening for the best of the best outcomes. And I couldn't be happier for any of them. I know that we're in the middle of so many stories still being told, and I think that I'm really so excited to see where everybody goes, because this is a really exciting time, I feel like, for Andi, for you to be talking about getting ready and preparing, and to know that our littles will be growing up the same time together.
I'm so excited. Yes.
It just makes being able to connect on a whole nother level of the mom crazy, forgetful mind to, trying to balance and negotiate. Oh my gosh, I do more negotiating now than I did on a daily basis in my corporate world. So just the practice of negotiations, the practice of like real life day to day is funny how it changes and it's so much different. But that's been really fun, like getting to share with friends different experiences and child life journeys too. So yes, I've got some awesome resources that I can really bounce and relate to and lean on. And not to mention, oh my gosh, my MOPS group. Since staying at home, that has been a world of difference because before I was staying at home, I knew no one that stayed at home. And I was like, how do you do this? How do you not lose your brain? How do
What is
you
MOPS, Joy?
MOPS? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Mothers of preschoolers. If you are a stay-at-home mom and are looking, going nuts, or maybe not going nuts, just looking for somebody to reach out to and say, hey, I need a friend. I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to bring me back to reality, or just an adult to talk to once in a while, reach out to me. I would love to connect you with some great resources or tools. I would love to help you along your journey and to help you find your way and just let you bloom inside that new world. MOPS, Mothers of Preschoolers. So it's a great program. It's a Christian focused group, but it varies from all different groups. It's nationwide across the nation. So you can find a group probably within maybe 30 minutes or so. I'm guessing of maybe wherever you're at. I'm not really sure about that, but each group is totally individual and different. Some are really Christian focused and some are more of a group of, hey, I know there's a greater power out there. I don't really know much about it, but I really want to just come for the coffee and friendship. That's me. And maybe some breakfast at the same time, depending on what a group has. So, I mean, our group has definitely taken a virtual break this year because all the kids gather and then all the moms gather. So we've kind of taken a step back this year. But I still have got to pull in those relationships and friendships from that mom's group that I had no idea about how you be a stay-at-home mom and don't lose your mind and still don't lose your sense of self, because I think that's so easy to do in mom world. So easy to do in mom world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I bet you hear for some people at our email address, which I shared at the beginning of the podcast,
yes.
and I'll share at the end too. So don't use.
Yes.
All right, Miss Andi, how about you? Do you have friends in the same place as you on your baby journey?
I do, yes. Thank you, Joy, for sharing. Like I said, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm just learning so much, so much as we're going. Yeah, we definitely have friends that are in the same stage and the same process, which is really exciting. So I'm very much looking forward to our babies growing up together and sharing in that. I've planned and I've been a part of quite a few baby showers along the way. And I mentioned in our first episode, my niece is 12 and will essentially become a babysitter too. So it's kind of like, to me, this beauty of all the blending of all of it. So we have friend groups that are just my friends or a couple friends that are in the same process as we are. I have friends, of course, who have older kids. And so it's been fun to see their journeys. And then, of course, to kind of see who their children develop into. But then I'm also super excited to have the friends where we're sharing in the journey together so that we can learn together and just share experiences and all of that good stuff. I've would say too, I'm super excited, or I always love gender reveals, and I love to see all the creativity that happens with that. However, anybody does that, and it's super fun to kind of see, do people learn right away what the gender is, or do they wait, and how are we going to handle that, and et cetera, et cetera. I would also say too that I, of course, have had friends that it hasn't been an easy process for them, and so I think earlier, Joy, you had mentioned that listening is sometimes the very best thing that you can do. And so I just think gratitude for, a healthy process and not taking things for granted. And also knowing that it changes, on a hourly or a daily basis, not unlike what you've already articulated, Joy. So yeah, I definitely do, or we do. We have friends that are kind of same time frame and then varying stages. And I can't wait for all of that to kind of blend and all of those pieces too. So yeah, that would be my update.
That's good. So I'm actually the odd man out in this group. I do not have friends in my position at all. Not close friends.
Okay.
So I mean, I had my first child when I was 24. So
May I interject something here? I
yeah,
said it in our very first episode, which was, I think it was the first or second time that I met you, and you told me that you had children that were in their 20s, and I just about fell on the floor, and I
yeah.
was like, there's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way. No way.
I second that. I second that. When you told me that, and it's like, no way. I mean, like, she's got like adult kids, probably more responsible than I am. It's like I can't let her see
And
my real side.
I totally just made up. I actually was 26 when I had my first baby. I'm like, wait, that was not the right math. Like, so that's part of getting to be in your 50s. Your brain starts to go. It's kind of like pregnancy brain a little bit. No, I'm just
Yeah. I think it's just mom, period. Does it ever quite fully go away?
I don't know that it ever does come. You
Yeah.
never get really right back to where you were, I don't think, beforehand.
I mean,
but
I probably had it before, but now I'm just still using that as the excuse.
yeah, I think you just have more that has to fit in your head. So you're like, I only have space for so much. So something's got to go. But anywho, so I'm an empty nester. My three kids are out of the house. My youngest is almost 21. And because we got married young, 24, I was, my husband was 2 years younger. I would freak out if my kids got married at that age. Our oldest I was 26 when I had her, and she just turned 27. So I don't have friends my age for sure that are empty nesters. I have a very close friend that I see on a very regular basis and doesn't have kids. And then I have a friend that I actually grew up with but lives here, and she's just getting ready for her oldest to graduate. So I guess she will be an empty nester because she's the only child. But our whole journey, we've not had anybody. We're very different than you guys. We never had anybody in our same world that was in the same place as us, simply because we started everything so young. So I don't feel challenged by it, but I do feel like I really wish that I had some close friends that were also experiencing the same parallel empty nest thing. It's definitely not something that bothers me, but it's just not. Like, I don't have the same kinds of things that you guys have where you've got people in your close circles. So that's something different. So hey, if there's people out there that are empty nesters and need a friend, I volunteer.
We can vouch that she's an incredible friend.
Oh, yes. Yes. Definitely amazing resource, and especially happy hour and eating buddy. Like, I will vouch for that as well. She loves great food.
Yes. It's fun to explore local restaurants and wine. Hey, I'm in Phoenix, so if you happen to be here, that's even better. The virtual thing works too for me. But okay, so next prompt. Andi, let's start with you this time. If you could go back, this is probably going to be a big one. If you could go back 10 years, what would you say to your younger self about the baby journey? What advice would you give to yourself?
That's a good one. It's a really good one. I would say never settle. Take the time that's needed, because you're going to be pleasantly and absolutely surprised on what is on the other side.
Yeah.
So if you feel like it's not right, or you feel like it's hard, or you feel like it's just not working, that's okay. To really take the time for you and never settle. Never settle. I kind of alluded to it as well, but everything works out the way that it's supposed to. So if I was talking to my younger self, I probably would have really valued having someone who could say something like that, just to allow me to relax a little bit and just allow things to happen, and knowing there's a extremely amazing outcome that will be down the road. Trying to think of what else. I think it would be really interesting to ask that question in 10 years, to say again,
Right?
like
Yes.
to where I'm at now,
Yeah.
right? And it's a very exciting time because you don't know. I mean, my dad is a twin, and the likelihood of you having twins when you're later in life is actually higher. And so we don't, it could be in 10 years, like, what were you thinking? you know, as well. So it's like, we just, in this journey, you don't know. I mean, you could have double the fun, but there's positives with that too, right? So I don't know. I think if my 10-year self, myself now looking back 10 years, I basically would probably say, like, just relax and, keep doing all the right things and being yourself, and it's going to happen, and it's meant to happen in a certain way, and it's not your plan, and we don't have a crystal ball, and et cetera, et cetera. So
Something tells me that's probably good advice for yourself today too, and all the rest of
yeah.
us as well.
I would agree. I love, Andi, I love that you said don't settle,
Yeah.
because I, gosh, I just think that's the starting point, I think, because if you know you're in a tough spot, if you know you're not being true to yourself, or something just doesn't quite feel right, it probably won't feel quite right. I'm guessing later. I think that, relationships are a work in progress and so hard in itself that when you throw in something so complex and dynamic, such as human beings and raising them, there's nothing that can prepare you for that. There's no baby class, although I do recommend, like, preparing yourself and getting some information. Read a book. Don't read 5 books, read 1. Don't look up everything. But
How old were you 10
I'm
years
sorry.
ago, John?
I was 26. I was the
Yeah.
age you started having babies.
Yeah.
So, myself 10 years ago, I would have probably given myself don't settle too. And don't settle, and don't rush it. Don't rush it. I don't think that you're doing anyone a service. Babies, your partner or spouse, you're not doing anybody a service if you settle or rush it. Just take it easy and enjoy the ride. I think have fun, because once you're here, life changes. It's amazing, but it definitely has its own challenges and juggles. Just be patient and have fun, because this time that you have, either if you're hanging out, you are a gorgeous single lady living up life, grabbing your party dress and running outside, whatever, kicking up your heels, dancing away. If you are, just getting started in your uh, fairy tale love life and living it up. Maybe you're in an amazing city, just soaking up all the life and adventure. Do it up. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to, do all these fun things. Do it. Plan it. Don't let your dreams stop you, or don't let kids pop up and be your blockers, but also just be prepared that if that does happen, be prepared for a road change and a plan, plan changes, because it's life, and life is beautiful. It's full of changes and lots of adventure, and it's just more fun and more easier if you go with it. I try and do, now it doesn't happen every day, probably, but I try and do something just for the heck of it, just for fun, every single day. I do try and say yes as much as possible, unless it's not safe. But just say yes. It's more fun to have more fun. So I think live in the moment. My 10 years ago self would say that. Don't settle, seconding Miss Andi. Don't rush it, and have fun. Just have a blast. Soak it up and live in the moment. Much like I want to do I want to do today, with my new, I do love my mommy title. That is the best title I have ever had, I feel like, and I feel really comfortable and confident saying that today. but it's also crazy. But there is no time in your life, I feel like, and I don't know about you girls if you would agree with this, but there is no time in your life that you're not going to have challenges. You're not going to have ups and downs. You're not going to have roadblocks, things that come up that you are completely blindsided and have to switch your career plan life and stay at home with this new baby. No, you don't have to do that. But that's what I chose to do. But it was totally not on my plan. It was 100% not on my plan to ever be a stay-at-home mom. But I never would have given it the chance probably if my job wasn't going through a bankruptcy and had its final days of me transitioning our office. And it's just kind of crazy the way life goes. But my 10-year-old self, I'd say, live in the moment, have fun.
Good. Again, good advice for today and others out there as well. Okay, so 10 years ago, my kids would have been almost 11, 14, and just turned 17. So I was in my early 40s, and I would tell myself to slow the bleep down. Hands down, that's what I would tell myself. Like you guys are saying, soak it all in and be more mindful of what's happening and just stop and pay attention a little more and not be so worried about tomorrow and the next day and next year and what's going to happen in 4 years when so-and-so's ready to go to college and so
wait, what was that?
Yeah. There's a lot of that in my house. So I think that would be the biggest thing I would tell my younger self. It doesn't matter how many years ago, I need to tell my younger self that. Just slow down and just pay attention to what's happening and enjoy it, because you guys know I'm hyperactive and I'm always go, 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 and I talk really fast and I'm high energy. That's wired in me, but I wish somebody would have kind of shaken me a little bit and just stop and enjoy what's happening around you, because you've got 3 kids in your house right now. In a year, that's never going to be like that ever again. So that's what I would tell my younger self 10 years ago about specifically my kids' journey. Just on a personal note, I would tell myself it doesn't matter that you're in your 40s and in midlife, because you can still chase your dreams. You can still make things happen. It is not too late. You got another 50 years to live, lady. It's okay. So you guys know, because if you're on YouTube, you can see maybe what's happening. But if you're listening and you're on audio only, you might hear some little voices. And that's because Joy's little man did wake up from a nap. And so this is just part of our life and our friendships and our podcast, is that she's juggling being a mom and doing these things while her toddler's around. So you may hear some little voices in the background. Well, a little voice in the background at this point. Maybe a couple years down the road, you'll hear several. But I think that we covered everything that we wanted to today. And I'm curious to know if you guys have anything else you want to add.
I'm getting the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me. That usually comes from me.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, friends. Well, Joy has to go for sure. So we're going to take this opportunity to wrap up our part 2 of this episode, where we've been talking about family planning, pregnancy, miscarriage, raising kids, and getting them out of the nest. So we would love your thoughts. What do you think about the episode today, or any others that you've listened to? And what would you like us to talk about in the future? Please email us at thisisfriendship.podcast@gmail.com. We really, really, really want to hear from you, friends. So share with your friends that you like us and you want others to listen in. And we are going to see you same time next week, right here in our podcast. This is Friendship, y'all. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, girls.
Bye, guys.
Bye.